Alright, let's get this streaming started. So this will be a little tutorial about arma-free warlords. How to do well in the early and mid game. With first the strategy, then we will have the infantry gameplay, and finally a bit of vehicle gameplay. And at the end, some advices. To do all this, I will use the single player cheat menu in a private session, which is going to allow me to actually make use of, well, all I need to make this video faster, like being invulnerable, to not have to capture the whole place. And I'm going to go to the upper side. Alright, while it loads, well, first thing first, the strategy. And that's pretty much the first thing you get in this game. First thing you are asked is to choose a sector. Well, when it finishes loading. Here we go. Continue.
Warlords protocol initialized. Voting for the next sector.
There we go. And that part, if you are playing as Blue 4, is a very, very easy part.
Select
I mean,
sector.
in most cases, all you have to do is start at your Blue 4 base, then you go to Panachari, Gavirida, Zaros, Teresa, take the airfield, go to Polyako, Neochori. Here is the first choice. You can go either straight to the airbase, or you can take Laka, then Laka Factory, and from here, this is important, it's the high ground, from where you can easily take the airbase. Once you have the airbase, it is advised to take main power plant and then Entrakia. Entrakia being a very important point too, because it splits the island in half, which means that you pretty much keep the upwards team stuck here as long as you hold that town, which gives you this much larger part of the island to get your economy up and running. So that was for Blue 4, where you can go from Neochori to airbase, which is a long drive for vehicles, you're on flat ground, not really the best position, but it's faster, or you can take Laka and Laka Factory to have a very easy time firing from up here onto the airbase. Now there is the upper side. Well, you can start with Molos, then go to Molos Airfield. It is a possibility. It's pretty much the worst option of them all, because most beginners at Molos Airfield, first of all, they won't have the rocket launchers required, which means they will have a very hard time against things such as the good old tanks, good old vehicles that will be there. I believe it's a Mora around here, a Kuma patrolling here, Gorgon maybe around here, plus a Strider moving all around, and all the infantry. Which means you need at least one Titan and another launcher to take care of all of it. And if you can't get that at Molos, then you don't have much economy to get yourself the good old launcher crate, which costs 300 CPs plus delivery cost. So I advise against going to Molos Airfield first, even though if you're really good and manage to capture the tank, not destroy it, capture it, disable the engine, make sure the crew gets out, and then take control of the tank, it can help you get some very, very good let's say, punishing power to take the next places. But it's very unlikely you can take the tank, let alone take the Gorgon or the Mora. So instead, I advise you to go to Nidazos base, which is about as hard to get as Molos is. But it has an advantage because, like we saw before with the other town, it's a high ground.
Selected.
And from the high ground you can easily attack Delphinaki and Ionina. So now, to kinda show you how to attack this place.
Destination selected.
Oh, rather, yeah, let's do that little piece first. To fast travel, you hold the I button, go to strategy, fast travel to contested sector. And once you're here, one thing I don't like with this base is that you don't have that much cover. And a lot of grass everywhere, so what I do is crawl forward a bit until, well, you can get lucky and have a bit of flat grass in front of you, or you can move back and have all that flat grass here. And once you're here, put the bipod down, get your scope ready, take aim, and light them up. They will have a bit of a hard time firing back at you. Don't worry, it's a lot of gunshot, but most of it will miss you. You may have to adjust for the range, in which case the easiest way is just to look on your map and put a waypoint, which tells you at about which range are your enemies, or you can look where your bullet goes. So that's for this part. So you have this side of the base, where, as you can see, we see a lot of enemies. That means you can take down pretty much half the base from here, relatively safe. If you're better at shooting than me, it won't take that much time. Or if you have a good weapon, it will be rather easy too. And once that part is done, let's imagine that you have taken down the people on the hill here, going to activate invincibility and the teleport to simulate that we have in theory killed them all. Then you can get... Oh, that's loud. Well, alright, let's have them all calm down. So, as I was saying, once you get here, you have cover and you can move on, get yourself some first aid kits, some rocket launchers. So for that you open inventory, and most of the time it will be inside the uniform. So, well, that's infantry advice, that will come for later. But once you have taken the Nidazos base, what you want to do is then select Delphinaki, for example, here, 1 kilometer away, and what you can do to attack them is get yourself a turret. Well, not a drone, a turret. Like, you can get yourself a raised 50 cal or a raised 20mm. Let's see. There. And with that, well, this is not the best firing position, but as you can see, this place is well within range. 914, and you will have to shoot far ahead of your target. As you can see, it takes a long time for the grenades to arrive there. But with that and the night vision, you can easily soften up the whole town. which means that you pretty much get a free town at 15 CP a minute. Once this town is down, on to the next one, which, even for this gun, is still within range. It has a range of up to... Oh, I mean, I didn't know it would have that much range. Oh, well, it has up to 2 kilometers of range. So after you take the first town, have some fun and clean up the next one. So that's for the strategy. You pretty much go from here to Nidaros. You collect your 2 free bases, Yonina and Delphinaki, using the mounted gun that you will hopefully have, because it does cost you indeed 250 CPs. But if you follow my advice, you should be able to have that money, which will allow you to get a lot more money from those 2 towns. From there, well, you have some options. Once again, 2 options, I would say. You can either go back, go to Molos, and then capture Molos Airfield, as you will have at that point enough money to get yourself either Infantry, Rifleman Heavy 80, or Missile Specialist 80, or in equipment, the Launcher Box, which will contain a Verona. It's a shame they put high explosive missiles for it, but Verona, which can take down 1 tank, very strong missile, or a Titan, which with the 2 AP missiles can take down 2 tanks. Wait, no. Oh, that's anti-personnel. 80. With that you can take down, well, let's say 2 tanks, depending on your luck. And with that, you would have your airfield, so the recommended strategy would be to go first to Nidasos base, then take Delphinaki, and take Yonina for free, after which you go back to Molos and Molos Airfield. Following that, you can go attend to Georgios, Agios Petros, Rhodopoly, and, just like for Blue 4, you want to take Entrakia to prevent the enemies from taking your side of the island. It's already small enough as it is. But there is also another risky strategy. All the risky strategies are on for side, where you go from Nidasos base, Delphinaki, Ionina, and you do not take Molos or the Molos airfield. Instead, you go for a rush straight toward the airbase, which, well, is an unusual strategy, but if you can pull it off, it's going to deal a big hit to the enemy morale. They won't know what hit them, and at the same time they will most likely have no archery and the possibility to attack the airbase, so it means calling aircraft there won't really be as much of an option. But if you've done that, you can probably just rush for the rest of the game with your ground vehicles. Now, let's go to the second part of the video. Now that we saw the early game and mid-game strategies. And I won't talk here about the strategy of backcapping everywhere, especially not backcapping after the airbase taking Neri, which is totally stupid, because at this point, if you're Blue 4, you have vehicles. Vehicles have travel times, they cannot teleport back to Neri. So you are wasting time and at the same time splitting up your forces. So please never do that. Never backcap to Neri to go all that stuff. Unless you really have a good defense and all that. But let's go back to Infantry Fighting. So let's teleport ourselves there, which was a bad place to teleport to, but we did it anyway. And for Infantry Fighting, one thing you wanna have is a friend. By a friend, I mean either a real friend, a friend to play with, or a rock. Rocks are your best friends. And while we talk about infantry, that's also a great thing to do, is look at your targets. What weapons do they have? Do they have anything that's useful to you? Especially on the up-force side. As you can see, your armor is only level 1. Which means that the only armor worse than yours is, well, the sniper armor, which I'm going to equip now because it has the sniper ammunition. What you want to do is, when you switch weapon, keep your scope, because it's a good scope. And for example, take the Lynx, which has an even better one. Not meant for fighting at this range, but still works fine. You're just going to want to set the range back to 300 meters to make it actually possible to use. And that is one of the good weapon choices, taking for yourself a Lynx. 12.7 millimeters, can hurt vehicles, can hurt infantry, great range, great stopping power, and what we have there is another great weapon to get. So you won't be invulnerable, so please don't just rush in like I do here. You have to take more cover, wait, kill the targets around you, and avoid getting shot at from very short range, because then they go in a very fast fire mode. It's not full auto yet, but with that rate of fire, if they got lucky, they can kill you very fast. Anyway, on to the second weapon that must interest you, is the MK18 Advanced Ballistic Rifle. It's not as strong as the Lynx, and you don't want to use the MRCO. Also, with this guy you can also take his armor, because it's better than what you had. So the MK18 ABR is a nice gun for many things. One of the biggest advantages it has is that it's light enough to... Oh, come on, I cannot put that thing back on. Anyway, we'll put this one in. Is that it can still deal a lot of damage. 2-shot kills should be possible. 1-shot kills if you can get to the head, for example. It is lightweight, as you can see, I just shoot it standing, which is not an option for all weapons. For this one, you can do it just fine, like for the default weapon. And now we are on to look for more targets. Perfect, you see, one headshot kills them. And that's the next weapon I want to talk about. MK200. Much heavier, doesn't have a semi-automatic fire mode. So, the best use for this weapon is to find yourself a rock, aim, and light them up. Because it doesn't have alternate fire mode. So you can also use it while just down on the ground like that. Short control bursts are advised. But you have enough ammunition to just waste a lot of it, if you think you have to. And for example here, as you can see, not all the rocks are good. Here I'm just shooting the rock, not the enemy. And so even though it works here kinda, you don't exactly want to fire this gun standing. With this gun and the Lynx, heavier guns, you want to be laid down and have your bipod ready, which can be hard sometimes, but at least lay down, take aim, and unleash your firepower. So here, even though this game is not a looter shooter, for example, taking this equipment here can be very useful to you, as you can then have a rocket launcher, with also a weapon light enough to be easily used and carried with that rocket launcher, while still being efficient. It's not because this 5.56 is lighter that it's worse. Even though I would still avoid the shorter version like the one I have here, as a shorter barrel does affect the bullet speed, which in this game does affect the damage directly. Alright, and as you can see, we had a rocket launcher. We can now decide to lock onto the target, which will kill it, in most cases. It is to be noted that firing a rocket will attract all the attention. Every NPC around is going to know you're out there, because it's loud, okay? You can hear it, it's very loud. So, now another small thing to do is, for example, after you kill someone which has an interesting weapon, you can go to the side channel and put it on the map, Titan. This way, someone else, if they need it, can go to that dead body and take the gun they need. Your ally will thank you, or you will thank yourself if you die and have to come back and want a good gun. So, not all guns are equals, not all armor are equals, but for now, for the basic infantry gameplay, what you have to remember is to steal the first aid kits whenever you can, to get the good guns like the MK200, on which you will put the scope you had, the MRCO, or at least an ACO if you have only that. You will also want to try and avoid getting all the attention by firing a rocket launcher, as depending on your situation, it can lead to a very quick death. And remember, the map is your ally, so you can just sometimes trust it and use it to find the enemies. Doesn't always work. And that's how you do it for this part, at least. But then you can see that you have 1000 CP after a while. What was that from? And when you have 1000 CP, it opens up more possibility for infantry fighting. For example, you can open the menu and go to Equipment Arsenal, which will allow you to use loadouts you have saved, or make new loadouts. And that is something that you should not underestimate, or should totally ignore if you prefer vehicles. So now, to emulate that, we are going to use the cheat of Virtual Arsenal to not have to travel back to base or pay the 1000 CP. So, for example, you can choose here... Oh, I don't have any saved loadouts, but there are some better weapons to use, like... I really advise against using the ASP gear, that's more like a shotgun than a sniper rifle. So you can take, for example, this one, which is just slightly better, not too heavy. You can take the 9.3mm weapons, like the Cirrus and the Navid, which have a great punch, great firepower. If you do have the DLC for it, or actually you don't need the DLC, but I advise taking the Night Stalker, for example, which will give you thermal sight. If your weapon has it, suppressor, pointer laser, just in case. And then, just look at the difference. So, where is my target? Let's see. See, I can look around with thermal sight, which is supposed to help, but it doesn't see through the grass, which is a bit of a problem, because enemies can't see through the grass, all of it. Wait, is that the guy shooting at me? No, it's not. Where is he? But Most of the time it will actually be useful. And I'm just wondering who is shooting at me and from where right now. Which is something you will be wondering a lot of the time. Oh, there we go. So for example, this thing one-shot kills and you have that little fire rate. Even suppressed, that thing is loud. But that thing is pretty much a sniper rifle with a big fire rate. It's not that accurate at longer range, even in semi-auto fire, but it's just so many bullets, so much damage you can deal. It's one of the great choices you can have. Then you also have, as always, well, all the big caliber weapons are good. Won't talk about the Promet, I don't have the DLC for that. And then another good choice, for example, you have the Type 115, which has both 6.5mm firing. Oh, that was a headshot, nice. But it has the 6.5mm for most fights. And when you need it, for example, if you have a Strider too close to you for comfort, you can use that 50 cal to go right through the window, or if you want to kill someone in one shot. It has also that good fire rate, which means that you can deal a lot of damage very fast. And then, instead of reloading, just in case, sometimes you won't have time to reload, but you can just switch the fire mode, go back to the 6.5mm and finish your target. Then you will have to remember to reload both at the end. Sadly, this is a DLC weapon, which means that, well, not everyone has it. But as you can see, the 50 cal makes it into kind of a sniper rifle. Doesn't have a long barrel, so I wouldn't trust it on long range that much. And if you look at the arsenal, you also have other great choices, like for example, you have the Bergen backpack, which is a DLC thing too. But you can load it up with all you'll ever need. For example, if you want to go with, I don't know, let's say a lot of rockets, all the rockets. You can find those rockets here, the hit missiles, but a lot of time inside. Take your rocket launcher and go fight. Another thing to take into account is the suits that are also DLC suits, like the special purpose suit, or the CTRG suit, which I don't find here because I'm not a CTRG guy, but what those do is they will make you less visible to thermal sights. And one of the most important things that is pretty much used by both this team and the other team, special purpose helmet, if you have the DLC for that. As you can see, I'm cold. I'm as cold as the ground. While those dead bodies, they are still hot. I can easily spot them. That bunny is warm too. I can spot it from this range. So, protecting yourself from thermal sight by being cold can be a great way to survive, but please don't do the mistake where you have the stealth suit and for AI allies with you who don't have stealth, because they will just give away your position and that kinda ruins the point of being stealthy to start with. So that's pretty much the infantry fighting. You have to remember that it's most of the time best to go for semi-automatic fire. For example, here you see that the recoil is quite strong if you're standing. So unless you're on a stable position, like for example with a rock, well, it doesn't want to get on the rock, but if you have a stable position, then yeah, you can go for the full auto firing. If you don't have a stable position, if you're standing, that's where your bullets will go. And that's where your target was. So remember, semi-automatic firing. And that's still going to kill them very fast. That's 3 bullets for a kill. 4 to make sure. So use the semi-automatic fire most of the time. And, well, I mean, you can still go for the panic mode in case, but it's advised to not do that. Alright, so that's for the basic of infantry fighting. Remember to take cover and to fire in semi-automatic fire mode unless you have a great bipod or something to put your weapon on. Now on to the next part, the vehicle fighting. So here I'm going to split the thing in, let's say, well no, I'm not going to split the thing in light or heavy vehicles. So for example, on the red side you have access to the Ifrit. You have the GMG, which can be used against infantry, or the heavy machine gun, which I prefer by a lot. And that vehicle is going to be very useful in many ways. The first way I will show you is the safest one, which will kinda remind you of something else that I just did, even though it has a much higher cost. To compare, this is 250 CPs, this is 1400 CPs, but it's pretty much a mobile turret if you want to. You get in, get to the gunner seat, select your target for example. Oh, also, yeah, the vehicle will help you capture faster. As you can see, it's capturing now while it wasn't before. But once you have your vehicle, you can shoot from this range. If it's cold, the rocket launchers won't even be able to lock onto it, and you can fire safely from a good range. Which is possible for this vehicle, but you can also do it for other vehicles. You can do it with a tank if you have to. You don't have artillery in this game, but you can use your Varzuk. Get in as commander, for example, or as gunner. Aim at the next town you want to attack. Get that good old high explosive shell. And light them up. So that's a building gone, and any infantry near it is gone too. So that's one way to use the vehicles. You can use it from very, very far from the target. In this case, you may want to have it cold. As you can see, this one is already warm, which means that if I had a rocket launcher with a lock-on, I can lock on to that tank. Which also means that enemy aircrafts can lock onto it with their air-to-ground missiles, which are going to hurt you a lot. Oh, I pushed the wrong button there. Which kinda show you the armor physics. What I wanted to get is the... wait, no, here it's not the Hemet, it's the... It's not the Zabak, it's the Tempest, I guess? Yeah, Tempest. So you have the Tempest ammunition, for example, that you can get. Which will be a very useful asset, because... at least in this game mode, for camping, you can have your vehicle here. Look at that reactive armor. You can have your vehicle here, your rearming here. Oh come on, and it blow off both tracks too. And it still didn't capture because I left the vehicle, but it's pretty much unlimited ammunition, which means that you can just fire, and look, still 12 shots left. Which means that you can just fire, and you still have 12 shots left. So for camping, this can be a very good idea. The cheaper option for getting ammunition is to get the vehicle ammo box, which cannot be moved as easily. Might even cause your death, depending on how you move it. So that's for the long range vehicle fighting. which is the smarter way to use vehicles, the safest way too. And for example, don't underestimate the anti-aircraft vehicles as they are firing high explosives, so you can pretty much clean up a whole town very fast if you are at long range. So if you use, for example, the Tigris, that's going to clean up towns very fast. Now about the vehicles, quick talk about this. So, not all things are equal. For example, the Queen 80 has the stronger Verona
Sector
missile
seized.
instead of the other one,
Select sector.
while it doesn't have lock-on, it's still a much stronger thing to hit vehicles with. So on this side, I would say that Oppo has the advantage. Then you
Sector
have the
selected.
Merit, which no one will ever use, no one should ever use. You have the Kamish, which has two Titan missiles here, two guided 80 missiles, and a much tougher hull than you have on the Blue 4 equivalent of this. Well, I mean of an combat capable APC, which would be the Marshal. Which means that with this, you can break up Marshals and the Cheetahs. No, I mean not the Cheetahs, the Panthers. So you have the advantage here. And then the Varsuk. Even though you don't have a Varsuk up, it's still very strong, has that reactive armor. And might be a bit low on ammunition. That's one thing I gotta give to the Up 14. Oh wait, I'm getting shot at. Who's shooting at me? Come on. Oh, here it is. There we go. Yeah, so sometimes he can fire at you at longer range, but most of the time you will be safe, don't worry. That was an accident, let's say. Back to what I was saying, so in the case of those tanks, here Blue 4 kinda has the advantage because the Slammer Up has a lot more ammunition for the commander. But then when it comes to the higher rank, yeah, they have the advantage too because the Rhino is just a beast. You don't want to be facing a Rhino with anyone competent using it. But for now, look, yeah, I'm here with my tank, or I could use a turret too. That's 2 kills from a safe distance. Oh, come on, they broke the commander turret, but you can easily take them down from here. So now onto the other way to do this. The much funnier way is to get yourself, let's say, one repair specialist. Kinda need this, just in case. A rifleman.
Select drop zone.
You order them onto your
Airdrop in
position.
progress.
You order them with a vehicle. Here, to make it faster, I'm just going to get myself a vehicle from the garage. I hope it's not going to blow everything up. Let's just see. Because this tank is broken, so I have to get a new one. Oh wait, no, actually I can maybe just fix it. Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about the repairs anyway. Yeah, it's clearly going to need... Are you kidding me? Okay, so... let's just get a new tank. For example, you have the Ankara, which is a tank with a big advantage over ground vehicles. The big advantage is this thing here, which is the 30mm cannon. Oh, come on, I use both of their seats. What that means is that it's... well, let me just show you. You see that fire rate? And pretty much everyone in that car is dead. Well, I mean, there is still one left. There, I knew there was one left. But this is some serious fire rate, and it can be used against aircrafts too, because it's 30mm, it can go boom. So now for the other way to use vehicles, my favorite one. Just make sure your gunner is using the MG, because if he's using the clan it won't be as useful against infantry. And, well, I mean, it's self-explanatory. What am I doing here? I just rush right into the enemy lines. Which is also a way to use vehicles. You may take damage, but most of the time, if you stay at near maximum speed all along, take enough turns, you shouldn't get attacked by the rocket launchers. Or at least, if you break line of sight enough, they won't be able to get a lock onto your tank. So there is an 80 nearby, but he is not going to have time to do anything, because if I keep moving, he won't have time to lock on. So that's the two ways to use vehicles. The rush-in or the I'm a safe turret from all the way back on the other side of the map. And that's for the ground vehicles. The air vehicles are a whole other story. And I'm only going to say the thing because, well, actually I could get myself an air vehicle. But the thing with air vehicles is that... Oh,
Sector seized.
did I just kill myself? I think I might just have killed myself. Anyway, the thing with air vehicles is that they are a lot more expensive. Yeah, I'm really hurting myself here. Oh. Okay. Calm down. Is that those air vehicles, they are harder to use. And, well, how to say it? It might be a very bad investment, especially if you go for this one. This one is a very bad or very good vehicle, because you cannot use it with AI. They just don't have the piloting for it, because they will fly it like a jet above the target, and they don't have the gunning skills, because they just don't have the spotting range of your gunner who just fires on everything that's hot. So if you're using this with two actual players, it's really a devastating weapon. You have 20mm, you have 40mm, you have a 105mm gun. You can rip pretty much everything that's on the ground apart. But most of you will go probably for the Cayman. Much cheaper, has anti-ground missiles, high explosive missiles, but once again, you will most likely want to have a real gunner instead of an AI, because then you can stay further away, which increases your safety. And if you do have the DLC, I advise you to take the Xian instead of the Cayman, as this one can take a lot more beating, can go much faster. It's just worse at ground maneuver. If you want to just go back 10 meters, it's too hard for me. I won't even try it, but for only 1000 more CPs, you have a vehicle that goes much faster. And finally, the other vehicle that you can use is this one, which once again is best used with an actual player, because then you can really benefit from that range. And those aircraft, well, I mean, you can try and rush in with an AI flying low, but still, you're way better off with an actual gunner. And now, if we look at those vehicles, don't take them. Don't take the Shikra, and do not take the Black Wasp. At least not for the early to mid game, unless the enemy actually attacks you with air vehicles. Because they are bad at ground work, unless you really know how to use it. It's very expensive, and to be honest, I don't think many people know how to properly use them. You're just going to lose it against a random green team anti-air guy. You're going to waste a lot of CPs and a lot of time. And finally, you have speedboats. Can be used for infiltration, but that comes with other strategies that we won't discuss here. So that's pretty much all for this part of the game, for the mid game and early game. So remember, you start as infantry, you want to attack the right base first, where it's easy for you to capture. One thing I can't really show here because it's complicated is the actual capturing of vehicle. Like for example, you see that strider here? It's very damaged, but it's still alive. You can use it for yourself. Which, well, can be easy. For example, with the Type 115. Your 50 cal bullets can go right through the doors and windows. You can start by taking off the driver, then you aim, take off the other guy and the last guy. And if you are on the side, it is also very viable to just shoot right through the door. Your 50 cal will go through one man, and you may have to go on the other side to take out the other guy. Then, well, enjoy your half-destroyed vehicle with no fuel and no engine. Oh, look. Yeah, another thing of combat vehicles that no one thinks about is the countermeasures. You gotta think about using those countermeasures when you get a lock on. As you can see, this tank didn't get hit by the rocket. Which means the countermeasure works. And pretty much saved their lives. So now let's go back to a bit of fighting, I guess, just to make sure we don't die in a stupid way. And yeah, that's true. One thing is that VI, when you are inside the vehicle, they will not use the countermeasure. You will have to switch to commander seat and use it yourself, pressing the C button. Otherwise, you will just get hit by a rocket. So let's get back to safety, using the cheat once again. And now we talk about the vehicles, we talk about a lot of things, and finally, just don't be the guy that's away from keyboard the whole game, or the guy that's team killing, because it's not helping your team, and, well, you're taking plays that could be used by someone who knows what they're doing. So, if you don't know what you're doing, at least try and use the chat to ask for help instead of killing anyone around you. Or, well, I mean, if you're away from keyboard, it can be kinda explained, but please notify your teammates too, so they don't think you're just a freeloader waiting to have enough CPs to get a jet. And that will be all for the early and mid-game tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, please, well, do comment. If you have any questions, put them in the comments too. Feedback is appreciated, and if this video gets 5 likes, the next video about the late game and the actual part where you have to fight other players might come much faster. Anyway, that's all for today. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. It will encourage me to make more great content, which will be greater thanks to your feedback too. That's all for now. Bye.